Whenever Kevin talks about making agreements or not making agreements, that way bullets can't affect you, and or other experiences he's had where we don't need to make agreements with something that seems more powerful than us, because then we make the agreements that it could harm us. But whenever he mentions these experiences, it always reminds me of the movie Eric the Viking, where Eric goes to seek the Viking gods because he wants to complain to them. And so they go on this quest or this adventure to go look for the Viking gods. They have to find this horn that sends out a certain frequency in order to find the Viking gods. But for some reason, they bring a Christian monk with them in their journey. And so the Christian monk, he can see the horn that they finally find and the horn piece to send out the frequency of the horn to go to the Viking gods. But because he's a Christian monk, he doesn't believe in their Viking legends or their Viking gods or their Viking myths or anything like that. He just doesn't believe in that. So when the Vikings finally come to the castle of their Viking gods, they're banging on it and banging on it to open it. And all of a sudden the Christian monk says, "What are you guys doing? There's nothing here." And they're like looking at him like, "What? You can't see that we're at the castle of the Viking gods?" He goes, "No, I don't know what you guys are." And they're even banging on the walls of the castle. And all of a sudden the monk just walks right through the castle. He just walks right through it like there's nothing there. And then he walks out of it. He goes, "I don't know what you guys are seeing. There's nothing here." So they finally, someone in the castle finally opens up the doors. They go in there. He doesn't, the Christian monk doesn't see anything. He's just following the men. And then he sees that they're, all of a sudden the Viking gods get in an argument with Eric the Viking, and they get in an argument because he wants them to stop all this violence, and they're saying, "We don't have nothing to do with your violence. That's up to you guys." But anyways, and the Viking gods are children. But anyways, they say, "We're just living here in eternity, and we're so bored, we just do whatever we want to do." And so they decide to torture Eric and his men, and also eventually kill him. Well, finally, and they can't get away because they have these powers. And so finally so when they're in this dangerous situation, Eric tells the Christian monk to go back to the ship and blow the horn, because once you blow it the third time, everybody gets transported back to where they came from, their village. So he's running through the castle, but he doesn't see no castle. He's just running, and he goes through the pillars, the walls, and everything, because he doesn't see. He sees that they're being moved around, the bodies are being moved around, but he doesn't see who's doing it. But anyway, because they're torturing them. But so Eric tells him, go to the ship and blow the horn. So he runs and he goes to the ship, he blows the horn, and everybody gets transported back to their village. But the interesting part was that because I realized that he did not make no agreements with their legends, their myths, their stories or philosophies, that's why he could not see nothing that the Vikings were talking about. And it reminds me of whenever Kevin talks about that you don't have to make agreements, with bullets or with people, with things, because the reason I'm saying this is because I don't need distractions on my journey to the all-isness. I don't need these distractions. So I try to break these agreements or dissolve these agreements because I don't need distractions. Of course, some things are maybe learning lessons or cause and effect, or something that the guides need me to learn something from a certain experience. I said, okay, that's an experience. But really, I don't need distractions from things that are trying to attack me or discourage me or trick me. I go, no, no, I don't need all that silly nonsense. And it sort of dissolves because I'm trying to focus on my journey, my individual journey to the all isness, or at least the seventh level, to be more, to wake up, and I don't. So I just thought that was interesting thing about Kevin, that he encouraged me to not agree to these silly things. And that movie, Eric the Viking, to me was a good example. Okay, that was my experience.
Thanks, Ramone. We'll check out the movie tonight. But yeah, the agreements that we hold, not only threat of physical violence, but just all the agreements subconsciously, especially that we've made throughout our lifetimes. We don't have to agree to anything, and like you say, it's a distraction. These things are a distraction. So the agreements that we've made are distractions, they're threats, they could harm us physically even, as has been talked about. So it's very interesting how agreements play a role in our life.